Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. This is your host, Michael Weaver, and I am super pumped about our guest today, Mr. Zach Knight. How are you doing this morning, Zach?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, brother, man. Just in catching up with you already. I'm already ready to get buzzed on the buzz today, brother. So let's just dive right into this, my man. So, who was Zach before insurance?
Yeah, so prior to insurance, I used to work and do oil refinery in Pascagoula, Mississippi, EPA regulation. And so very hot job. You're around pipes that the sun's actually cooling and, you are dying out there. It's so hot. And, really I found the job to not be what it was that I wanted for the long haul of my career. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for my family, just kind of being the canary. And with respect to the work that I was doing at the time, it was something that was important, but in the same sense that, being exposed to that level of risks on a daily basis, you know what I mean? An oil refinery, anything can go wrong. I decided at a younger age that just wasn't what I wanted. And so from there, I actually taught myself insurance. I picked the book up, didn't take any type of course. I just picked the book and was like, I'm going to change the direction of my life. And, I knew I wanted to do something in the AC, right? So I started studying and had no real direction other than I was like, insurance is always kind of seemed something that, would be worthwhile to pick up. And, as I got into it, I found a little bit of a love for what it was that insurance did and how it functioned. And, you start getting roots. You start learning about how deep taxes work and stuff like that. So, really getting some world experience that maybe you're not getting in college or high school. But to that point, passed all of my tests, applied for a State Farm office in my local city at the time, and was hired and immediately thrown into the aspirant program. He said I did so well on his psychological evaluation. I had to do a whole bunch of stuff that I've never seen any other agent do. But anyway, went in through there, and September 2017 is when I started with State Farm. And right off the gate, you don't have a whole lot of understanding for what it is you're trying to do in the aspirant role, right? You're still trying to figure out how to even sell things. Like, this is a skill that you have to learn, right? And then I'm walking in and it's just like, okay, I know insurance, but, now I have to talk to people and make it go. I wasn't foreign to it. I started a smaller business selling skateboards when I was little, about 16 years old. Me and a buddy of mine did that. I went to the local skate park and sold a lot of skateboards. So I had a little bit of experience there in dealing with people. And anyway, it all came together. And I worked with that agent for about 9 months, and he really was an absentee agent, and I didn't have the fire under me that I needed. And so I made a transition to another agent and worked with him for some time, and really it built my fire. And I came into the position of leading the agent aspirant program for production on a regular basis. And so, the real thing that I think I'm here today to talk about is, in my journey of figuring out what it was that I was after, I had a car wreck. I flipped a Mustang 5 times, and it beat me up pretty bad. I actually decimated my left arm. When I say decimated, I think that it fell out the window and the car rolled on it, and so my entire forearm is, and I'll show you next time I see you, but it's completely just crushed. And so anyway, they had to do surgery on that. My jaw was broken, which was the worst part of the whole thing. So, literally my teeth were not lined up. Like, when you'd bite down, it was like you had a bunch of rocks in your mouth and nothing just matched, really. And, I broke my face in 13 places. I actually have a plate on the left side. Doctors did pretty good, right? I'm not, I broke my sternum, tore a tendon in my neck. I could sit here and probably burn up our entire podcast time talking about what all I broke. And there's things that I probably have broken that I'm not even aware of, that there was so much damage. So anyway, let's talk about it. So they find me on the side of the road. I had a passenger. He was totally fine other than his knuckles were bruised up. I actually had taken him out to celebrate his success. He had bought a house, just gotten a new job, gotten a new relationship. You know what I mean? You're going to go out, and I'm DD for this guy. So I fall asleep. It's 3 a.m. And they come and find me, and I can remember the moment that I wake up, that just crumpling pain. Every exhale, you're yelling because it hurts so bad. I can't really, until you go there, you're tapping into a thing that's just instinctually insane. But anyway, fast forward, I go to the local hospital. They say that I am so bad off that they literally can't treat me. They take me to New Orleans University Medical Center, which is a level 5 trauma center. And it was during Mardi Gras. And so they couldn't even get me through the Mardi Gras lines. You know how it is in New Orleans. They throw down when it's Mardi Gras time. And it took me an extended amount of time to even get in there. And they almost called in a helicopter, from what I understand. to get me past the parades to get me in there because I was so bad off. But um, yeah, so there I am in the hospital. I'm in the middle of the aspirant program, and I am faced with a decision that, after you leave for a certain amount of time, you have to start over. You have to, you know what I mean? You have to reclaim your alias and all this. And I'm looking at, you know, disability for several months. And, there I am. I'm laying in the hospital. They're telling me what all's wrong with me. The surgeries, they told me there's a team of 27 doctors that are going to make one-shot surgery to fix me. One's going to work on my jaw. One's going to work on my face. One's going to work on my arm. One's going to, you know what I mean? Like a literal circle of team of doctors working on me. I'm like Frankenstein on the freaking table, you know what I mean? But we're here. But, before we get to the surgery and the things that took place, when I got there, it was Saturday morning. The accident happened March 2nd, 2019. So I'm in the middle of my aspirant role, and I have an appointment that Saturday with a customer. And as soon as I came to, and you're in and out a lot, but when I came to, my family's at the hospital. I think it was early enough that the sun was coming up, maybe 6 or 7 a.m. And I remember the first words not being, "Hey, what happened? I'm alive. Where's my family? Where's my kids?" I said the customer's name, 3 autos, one homeowners, and a life policy. What time is it? Because I was so concerned about missing that appointment. You know what I mean? You could tell where my heart is. My heart of hearts was like, hey, this is like, well, what's your priority? Obviously, you're in your deathbed potentially, And so also there's lots of drugs here, Michael. So there's a potential that, I could have just really been out of it, but none of my family gives me any slack. Like, no, we know what's important, Zach. We know what's important. So, I come out of it and, I'm faced with a decision, right? My career, my dream, I'm faced with the potential of giving that up and having to put that on pause. And that really, really just didn't sit well with me. And at first it was a moment of defeat, but I've never really been one to just lay down either. And so I kind of started to believe maybe there was a chance I could make this work. And you got to keep in mind when your mouth is broken, or your jaw is broken, they wire your mouth shut. They actually take drill bits that are like 3 inches long. It's insane. It's barbaric. But they drill in through the top of your gums on each side, top and bottom, and they literally go in between it with wiring so that your jaw is literally just as locked in tight. And it's one of the most miserable things, and there's a lot of gruesome details that go into it. But to give the point that I made a decision that I'm still going to work. I'm still going to find a way. And from a hospital bed, I outproduced anybody in that state in the aspirant program, because I wanted to be something. I wanted to be an agent. I had decided that's what I was going to do. And so from that point, it took me 16 days to take, and this is probably, I'd get in trouble now that my old boss knew this, but I took the one document that I could get that said I was released from work, and I presented that as if I was totally okay and clear to go into work. I also had 27 other doctors that had to sign off on that, but I never said anything. So I'm back in the office, completely drugged up. My arm is like literally just, you'd have to see me. I mean, imagine like it's as bad as you're imagining anyway. You know what I mean? And I'm in there with my mouth wired shut, still hammering out. Did you lose me?
You're good, man.
Oh, good. Yeah, it didn't happen. It's not because I was in a position that I needed the money or I wanted to, continue to work. It was a passion. And so that leads me to my point then. When I was working in the EPA, I had a job, and it was paying my bills. It was taking care of me and my family. And when I discovered State Farm, you find that State Farm is, all about its customers. Its passion is fueled, and its success is inevitable because of what and its position and how it feels, or how State Farm operates to succeed for our customers. And in that, I found my career. And for me, I'm chasing this aspirant, this dream. So you go job and career. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't know that there's a third. The third option is that you have a calling. And through tested mortality of going through that car wreck, I realized that I had a calling. And it was greater than just, hey, I'm going to be a salesperson. I'm going to make a business. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It was that my role in this life is to serve others and create value in other people's life. And in doing so, enriching my life and finding a passion inside of the happiness of others. And, with insurance, right, if anybody's sitting in this role and you feel as though it is transactional, my challenge to you would be to find yourself a point of contention in what you're doing, to love why. you're doing it. Find your why. Because the moment that you find that, it is a turnkey to a version of you that you did not have prior to that turnkey, I guess is the right way to say. Before that old person you were, they're still there, but they are 10 times hotter and they're ready to go and they're energized. And all I can tell you is that through that car wreck and through that experience, I'm selling out of a hospital bed remotely with my mouth wired shut. I mean, you think about that. My mouth's wired shut, and I'm over here ventriloquist. I'm very good, apparently, at being a ventriloquist because we had really good in-depth conversation. I mean, I'm running life needs analysis. You know what I mean? We're still doing the thing. And, to that point, then I exited out of the hospital, went through the process, finished up the aspirant program, continued to lead the aspirant program, and last year opened up my agency in Montgomery, Alabama, Zach Knight State Farm. And we traveled year one, and we're on track for level 3 in Chairman's Circle this year. And I've got a team that is 100% behind me. We've got a really strong culture and a direction that we're trying to go. And, I guess overall my challenge to anyone listening to this is to find your calling. Job and career are great. I'm not saying they're not, but find your calling.
Man, that is... Zach, thank you so much for... That is powerful, man. Like, I'm sitting back here just like, holy shit, that is the definition of grit. Like, man, that is powerful. Thank you for sharing that. That's, so you said a lot of, that was 10 minutes. There was a lot that was talked about. So I'm going to go back in and dissect a little bit of this. But you hit on something, the calling, a job, career, and a calling. And I freaking dig that. And, the amount of grit you showed. So you're just on the hospital bed, wired. Your mouth is wired shut, and you're calling. You're working. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean we're getting it done. I can't even use my left arm, so I'm one-handed. I remember my family being in there and they're annoyed with me. They can't think about it. They just want you to relax. You know what I mean? They're trying to push you. And you're like, nah, I think I can knock a few policies out, or at least I can position others in the office to follow through and finish the tasks that I already had. Because you know what I mean? If you're in the aspirant program and you're serious about your business, your funnel's a mile long. I got stuff to close for 3 weeks out. You know what I mean? And so it was really about calling those customers, explaining what happened, and giving somewhat of a handoff. But even still, they count for me as an opportunity. You know what I mean? I found a way to make my board still count.
Yep.
So
and not even just as an aspirant, but I mean as an agent. I mean, I think anyone listening to this. I mean, I guess my question for you would be, what's your excuse? Like, well, what is your excuse? I mean, you got a guy right here that almost died laying on a hospital bed. The first thing he wakes up and thinks about is, oh, shoot, I'm going to miss my appointment. Like, one day, like, what is your excuse? Like, holy smokes, man, I'm fired up right now just, like, listening to this.
Yeah, it's a good measure. It's probably, like I was telling you before we even, came live, is that it's a good measure for me that if I ever have an excuse or there is some situation that I'm in that I know I need to follow through, it is a good measuring stick for myself to say, okay, if you came through that, what can stop you? You know what I mean? To what degree is there an opportunity that's going to be created that you can't get to? Just got to do it. You just have to take steps and make the action happen. And so that's really my measuring stick for sick days. You don't get sick days. You've done way worse than this. You know what I mean? You could have your mouth wired shut, being fed like spaghetti through the side of your teeth. Like that could be a reality. But the bottom.
Well, and I got to ask Zach, because I mean, I can only think of what this also helped with, like, your mindset. Like, to be able to push through something like that in your life, I can't even imagine. I mean, you've got to have, like, the most confidence in the world that so you said March of 2019, and then you opened your agency when in 21, January? So
Yeah.
Less than 2 years later, after an accident that you almost died, you're opening your calling, your dream business. I mean, that is so motivational, man. Like, congrats. Like, I can't even imagine what that turn of events did for you personally. Like, you got to feel like you're unstoppable. Like, you can achieve anything that you put your mind to.
Yeah, I think in that moment, something that I continue to tell myself is that I need to operate in a way now that I can be proud of for the rest of my life. And I think that I continue to tell myself that throughout all that I do. right now, when it's hard, no matter what it is, it can be worse and it can be easier. Are you going to contribute to what side? And from that point, it was like, look, I'm going to just dive into this. And when I get done, I'm going to have a story. I'm going to be proud of what I did, or I'm going to die trying, because that's literally where we were at, So, but yeah, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, the greatest thing that anybody can do is really take a good accountancy for how they feel about what it is they're doing, and try to imagine a way or figure out a way to tap into something greater than it just being a career. Don't chase paper. Don't chase money. The money will come when you create value. And if your fire is big enough, we were talking about this earlier, right? If your fire is big enough, people will join you beside the fire. Create a fire that is unstoppable and can be seen from the sky. It's so big. So that's my that's my mantra.
No,
from
brother,
that. Yeah.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about that, because when you talk about building a fire, not only is that you, that's your team, that's your culture, that's your brand, that's what people are going to know about you. So talk a little bit about that, because I know that you get real fired up on culture as well. Like talk about maybe some things you do to really help establish that winning culture, really that fire, building that fire that people just want to follow.
Yeah, so I think that probably beneficial to other agents first, and then team members second. I'll talk to it in two sides of that coin, because I've been on both sides of the role. I think that a lot of agents are in a state of mediocrity, that they accept and receive complacency, and their measuring stick is the guy that's right up under them, and it's not the person that's in front of them. And to what degree, how far out you go, hey, at least I'm not the bottom of the barrel, or hey, why am I not number one in the nation? What is your measuring stick? And so that is the culture that I lead when I hire somebody. I ask them, how big do you want your fire to be? What is your why? What is your calling? What if I told you there was a way to create so much success in your life that the money won't matter? And that usually gets people, right? It's like, wait, what? The money, I'm here for the money, right? But it helps you discern the who and the what from, what is it that I'm looking for? What is it that they're looking for, and bringing it together. And so when someone comes in, at first they start to really see a team that's high energy. And, I've had time to start to create this culture. It's not just, one of one. The other side is that I have my younger brother working for me. So he's really helped me dial in what he and I have created our entire life, right? Is this, get it done mentality. But, you bring somebody in, and the culture has been about them being part of a real team. And I tell them off the rip, at 3 a.m. you can call me in the morning, and if you need me to come get you, I'm there. But I'm going to expect the same from you. I'm not going to have just a complacent relationship with you. I want to build a fire between us. And I know a lot of people are like, no, you don't make friends in this game. You got to keep your employees, just a little bit out of reach. And to maybe some extent that is true, but you can still be a good human, be a good mentor and a good leader, because if you can prepare them in a way that's greater than just what it is you need them to do in the office, they'll be with you forever. They'll care about you. They'll love you. They'll really look out for you. And I'll give you a perfect example. My whole team had COVID, and rather than laying down, they worked remotely and still put up like 150 policies last month. And I'm off, on travel in Europe, which is like, you know what I mean? Hats off to them, a massive reward. Obviously I've loved on them tremendously. You had to go pick up some extra goodies and make sure you were getting really good gifts in Europe. But, it was something that I would say that two other agents chase greater than mediocrity, because what we have now is a nation that I think is settling in mediocrity. And the guy that differentiates that and tries to grab the next level on a continual basis, that's the person that's going to stand out. Money will follow success, but success will follow value creation. So create value. Now, outside of that, for the team member, I think that, a team member is somebody that may need greater guidance. They've never, it goes back to my belief that, we should be teaching taxes, insurance, mortgages, things to that level greater in school, but we don't. So you've got to take time, if you've got younger, employees, hone that skill. Own their finances. And I don't mean that in like an invasive way, but I mean like create the ability for them to sit down with you and help them figure their money out. Because if they've got money problems, you've got money problems. Nobody can be serious if their finances are broken. And if that's from a place of misunderstanding, why are you not trying to help alleviate that? And if you can't have that conversation, you're not close enough with that person. Dig into the relationship. unwind whatever it is going on over here. And this works in various ways, right? It could be finances. It could be the relationship. I've sat in my office and had 2-hour relationship conversations. Be the therapist. Be the person that they need you to be, and they'll be with you forever. But that's the culture. That's the energy. And I think that it drives this ability to really charge forward and say, hey, right now we're on track for level 3. Next year we want to go for exotic. For a lot of people, they're like, dude, you're year 3. Why don't you just chill out? No, I don't have that in me. We got to go. We got to get exotic. We got to chase dreams. We're trying to get on presidents in health. I don't know that it'll happen this year, but we're 200th in the company right now for health. And it's like, oh, we're so close yet so far away. So we're still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of results that you can achieve with a high caliber team and a high caliber culture. And the other thing that I would say that, and this would be the last thing I'd say, is terms of mediocrity. What ends up happening in an office that has, the basis is mediocrity, somebody controls that culture. If it's not the agent, then the question is who? Who is controlling the culture? And that could be the greatest problem you have, is when you do not own your own culture in your office and it's driven by somebody who has more magnetic or, more pull with your team into the direction you go. Then what have you done? You've given up the wheels to the ship, because the culture is the steering wheel for the boat. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Your team is your greatest problem, and the culture is the greatest solution. So that's my 2 cents.
Man, you're dropping all kinds of nuggets today, brother. For being only 18 months into this is kudos to you, man. Like, your business acumen is very high. So I'm with you. Like, I was always a big believer, and I still am. That's like, the more you pour into your people, like, if you take care of your people take care of your customers. It's like the Richard Branson mindset. Like, you take care of your people take care of your customers. And I love the fact that you're having conversations with them about what matters most to them, their finances, probably retirement one day, their future self, because we're having those conversations with customers, but you're not going to have it with your team, those that you're around all the time, those that become like almost like family. Like, it's almost like you're robbing them of something that you freaking love to do, and they need the most help with it. Like, I love that you have that mindset.
Yeah, it's, you know what I mean? You've got to contribute to your team. You've got to be part of their list of, you know what I mean? Get on the roster. Hey, who am I going to call if I got a question? Be that guy. Be that girl.
Well,
you'll reap what you sow.
If you really want to build, I'm with you here. Like, if you really want to build a culture, so me and Courtney, that's my wife, we own a few different businesses, and always have this saying, wear this jersey, bleed this blood. The only way they're going to wear this jersey and bleed this blood, though, and be bought in, is if you pour into them. Like, it has to be a give relationship. It can't just be a give take, Like, you have to pour into your people. You have to burn that fire. You got to create that fire that not only is going to attract customers, but attracts the freaking people you want on your team to build your business for the future, because you sure shit can't do it by yourself. Like, it is lonely at the top if you're trying to do it by yourself.
Yeah. And what does it say? And help me out, Michael. It's, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go, what is it? If you want to go far, go far.
Don't put me on the spot like that, Zach. No, dude. This is so good. All right. So we've talked about everything from, now I do want to go back. I want to ask you this question, because I think so you said you had I'm a big believer that you can learn from everyone. Okay. And even though the agent that you originally signed up with for like 9 months, absentee agent, not a bad agent, not a good, like, it is what it is. What's something that you learned in your like time frame with just that 9 months, of either something that you really liked or something that maybe I would do this differently in agency?
I think even in both agencies this would apply. There really wasn't any leadership, and the truth is, it was an office of mediocrity. People who were checked out or really didn't have that temperature of, hey, culture matters. Let's build something for you. I found myself even at the second office repeatedly, because I was producing so much, fighting for every check or fighting for my income, trying to justify it. You know what I mean? And it was almost inevitable that I would be in a position to feel as though I had to sell it, and then I had to get permission to actually get paid on it. And that's a terrible relationship. But my point in this is, I learned a lot. The key thing, here's a
Mm-hmm.
key point for people. Let's pin mark this in the audio. Learn from others'
Yep.
mistakes. I am a advocate, and just like you spoke on, learning from others, I learned all the ways not to lead a team. I learned all the ways not to run the office. Let's not do PFA like this. Let's not do this with our customers. How can we get deeper? And then if you really lean into it, you don't even have to reinvent the wheel. If you look at your company, even if it isn't State Farm, they've been around a lot longer than us, right? State Farm just turned 100 years old. I literally just take what State Farm's already created, tweak it, put it in my office. I don't have to create the wheel. Make it very easy on yourself. I mean, there's processes and other things, but I think Will Smith said it best. He said every issue that is currently in existence has been written about. Go grab a book, go read about it, entrench yourself in your problem, and you'll find a solution. But to that point, the prior agencies really honed me to become who it is that I am today because of what they weren't,
Yep.
not because of what they were.
I love that, man. I think that that's one of the, and look, regardless of like what you said, like regardless of the company, regardless of who you're working for, as an insurance professional, you either come in as a, like what we call external candidate, so you have no experience, or what I believe is you come in, you work with somebody, you learn the business, figure out what you like, you don't like, and then you go in and do your thing. And I think it's almost what you're hitting on. I think, yes, you want to focus on the things that work, the systems that work, but you also want to really focus for any of those individuals that are right now listening to this, they're thinking about opening a business, really try to also learn the things that you may not enjoy about what you do and what your coworkers like about that you see in the business, so that you don't duplicate that same culture, that same mindset, that same mistake in your business. Like the things you don't want to do are just as important as the things that you do want to do. So really, really hone in on that. So I appreciate you sharing that, Zach.
Yeah, man. You don't have to hit all the potholes if
Exactly
you know
right.
where they are.
So
There's a way around.
how do you, okay, we talked a lot about complacency here. We've talked a lot about mediocrity. All right. So what do you do? All right. Now I know you don't use Weaver Sales Academy. That's all right, Zach. But you do follow one of the people that I follow as well. So let's just talk about some things you do in your daily habits to continue this fire. Because I'm a firm believer. Yes, it's a calling. Like I wake up every day freaking, the wood is stoked, like I'm ready to freaking go, like let's roll. But motivation doesn't last. Habits do. Like, yes, following your calling is really important, and it's going to help build that fire and make sure it's burning. But I do believe there's certain things that you can also do on a daily basis that make sure you continue to stoke the fire. What are some things you're doing?
Yeah, so first off, for those that aren't religious or otherwise, I think finding your calling, you need to find a center there. And for me, it's Christianity. And so I'm going to first say my faith has been the greatest lead measure for what it is that I am today. You know what I mean? And so I've put that first in all things that I do. But the next are, I've got wonderful parents. Those are my best friends, and they've done so much to take care of me and raise me up to be a strong individual, and created that grit you're talking about. But in terms of now, the fast forward, what about now? None of those went away, but the now is, I've been a follower of Grant Cardone for about 10 years, and everybody calls him Uncle G, and I'm an Uncle G. I've been to see him, once already this year, and then I'm going to be taking my entire team to Miami to attend a 10X business boot camp, and I just think that was so much value. I found a way to make it possible for me and my entire team to fly out to Miami and attend that for 3 days. And that's going to be something that I think takes my culture and my energy level inside my office to the next level. But it's not even just that, right? It's in my private practice, when I'm home alone, you're watching a YouTube video. I think that people that are eccentric to the development of their future self, you're on YouTube and you're biting into somebody that's really like, man, I need to emulate this or find that in myself. And so for me, the longest time, Grant has been somebody who's really spoken into my life. And you probably will recognize, if you're a fellow Grant Cardonian, right? A lot of the word tracks and a lot of things that I am saying are not, that's kind of from that world. And so I'm a big fan of the empire that he's built, and I seek to emulate something to that degree. But, that for me has been a central point for what I'd say is a contributing factor.
And so I wanted to
success.
talk. Obviously, we talked before this, and anybody that knows me knows I'm I am a Cardone fan, man. Like, and here's the thing: like, you can love Cardone, you can hate Cardone, but everybody's gonna respect Cardone because he's freaking amazing at what he does, and he's somebody that just continues to get better, pushes the limits. And most importantly, I wanted you to talk about that because I think it really, I mean, it's that continued learning. It's that continuous development. One of Cardone's books I think everyone should read if you're listening to this right now and you've never read it, 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Pick that up today. It is an amazing book. But I'm also a firm believer. Like every single morning I wake up, I'm listening to a book, I'm listening to a podcast, and I'm typically going to YouTube and I'm listening to some type of motivational little just 5-minute, 10-minute clip because that's what gets me rolling. That's what gets me going. It doesn't matter if it's Grant Cardone, Eric Thomas, Gary Vee, like Tony Robbins, I'll listen to them all. But I always have these positive influences in my mind every single day. I'm reading, I'm growing, I'm developing, trying to master my craft every single day. And that's exactly what you're doing as well. So kudos to you, my man.
Yeah, I would say like I do the same thing. I don't really listen to music to and from work. It's something educational. Like I'm building me, right? And right now I'm working through my second listen to John Maxwell's The Five Levels of Leadership. And for anybody who hasn't heard that and you're seeking to be a leader, I think this is a great contributor to the conversation that we're having because we're talking about culture. But I think the 5 levels of leadership will help you dispel or identify how it is that you can grab that next level, and in doing so, you'll be able to tap into a greater culture. But yeah, no, I'm huge on personal development. You know, right now I'm doing Cardone University in my office with my entire team, and you know, it's a discipline. We come in every day. We're going to knock out at least 4 to 5 of those segments, or you know, and then we'll have probably a 15-minute WIG meeting. If anybody is not familiar with 4 Disciplines of Execution by Sean Covey, highly recommend it. As a game changer. It will really identify in you how not just to apply it to your business but to life, lead measures and lag measures. And so if that sounds like foreign to you, really go look into those 2 books. I'd highly recommend them. But yeah, Michael, I'm huge on personal development. You got to be about it if you're going to be anything, you know.
Like I think it's so easy in life to get complacent. Like especially agents, especially business owners, when those checks, when you have an established business, those checks don't suck anymore. Like you're not having to scrape. Like it's really, really easy, I believe, to get complacent. And so that's why I'm a firm believer in like I always have to be pushing. And I'm a big believer in blinders. How can I just get myself 1% better every single day? Because if I'm getting 1% better, then I'm helping all those around me get 1% better. And so I love that you hit on that continuous development, continuous learning. Zach, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way for them to contact you? Is it social media? Is it your website? What does that look like?
Pretty well plugged in. So I mean, any of the handles, and I think you guys are going to have that attached. But you can look me up on Facebook. Instagram is Z Knight, and that's KNIGHT 91. That's also my handle for almost everything. You can find me through that. But otherwise, if any of you guys are internal and want to reach out to me, my alias is Victor Alpha Bravo Lima 76 or Zach at theinsurancenight.com, and shoot me anything you've got, questions, comments, and I'm happy to engage with other agents. I'm not one of those that I'm going to go back into my hole. I'm still building a network of people who are as inspired with me, and who knows, I mean, maybe one day we'll all get together and I don't know, just talking about business and life.
That'd be a lot of fun, man. Well, we do have a Weaver Sales Academy event in October, brother. You could, I guess, we got some good people coming. But anyways, Zach, brother, I appreciate you. Your story is extremely powerful. I appreciate you coming on the Buzz and sharing your story. Not only your story, but your daily disciplines, those things that are motivating you, those things that are creating that fire, man. I think one of the most important things that I took out of today's conversation was find your calling. Like if you can find your calling, everything else works itself out. Like quit chasing the greenbacks and just start providing people value, because money is just an exchange of energy and value.
Yeah, no, yeah, you nailed it. At the end of the day, I mean, if you can find that, you're going to look at your job, your career in a different light, and it's going to give you a longer life. You really will live longer than somebody who's working in a career. I love that, brother.
So all of you out there, man, as you guys know, time is the most valuable and important asset that we all have. I appreciate you guys spending time with us today. If you haven't already, man, I don't know how you couldn't go and give us a 5-star after this episode with Zach. So make sure you go give us a 5-star review. If you're not part of the text community, text 167277610 and hashtag Buzz for all updates insurance Buzz related. Zach, thank you again, my man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Michael.